So today we've come to Yorkshire's premier seaside resort, allegedly the oldest seaside resort in the UK. Today we've come to Scarborough. So what we're looking at now, to many people, would just look like a wall. Here was one of the largest aquariums in the world. In fact, it was the second one built. We now call them sea life centres, but in this area here, and this is all that's left of it, bar a few minor things knocking about near the seafront, was until the 1940s an aquarium, a theatre that used to hold 10,000 people allegedly. All that you can see now of it is the car park, which is underneath here. Anybody who's been to Scarborough before will know about this car park. It's just under the bridge, but everywhere that we're stood on now was part of it. In fact, there, the original entrance to this, what was basically a theme park. Up there is a fantastic museum. If I get run down by the car. Up there is the Rotunda Museum. If you ever want to learn anything about Scarborough, 90% of it is in that building there, and it's right next to the bridge and the Grand Hotel.
Scarborough is one of those places with golden beaches that seem to stretch for miles and miles. Yes, the sea does come in, but not always all the way in during the summer months. Now, as you look down from the bridge, you'll see where this aquarium and theatre of 10,000 people used to be. There's no sign of it now. Now, if you look up at the hill there, you'll see one of the original tramways of Scarborough, which used to go up and down the side of the hill, offering people where to get to the top. That is no longer the case for 4 out of the 5 trams. This one was converted into a cafe, and on the top, not at the bottom down here, but at the top, you can still get a cup of coffee up there. The Grand Hotel. What a fantastic looking building.
One of the most notorious hotels and the grandest hotel is the Grand Hotel. Why is it notorious? Well, Hitler wanted it for his base in the UK. In fact, he told the Luftwaffe when they were bombing Scarborough, anybody who hit the Grand Hotel would be court-martialed immediately. So he obviously liked the idea of it. In modern days, well, originally, up until about 2004, it was actually run by Butlins. But in 2004, it was bought out by Britannia. It has had a few £1 million spent on it, but let's face it, it could do with quite a few more spent on it to catch up to modern day standards. Another interesting fact is that one of the Bronte sisters actually died, and is now buried not far from Scarborough seafront. So it's got one big history about it.
Have you ever stayed at the Grand? Let me know in the comments. Now, when you look at the back of the Grand, you'll see that there's a section at the bottom that's just purely bricked up. That was the Grand Hotel's restaurant. But during World War I, the German Navy attacked Scarborough and did significant damage to the Grand Hotel, and as such, they had to brick it up. That is now actually owned by Scarborough Council, so the Grand Hotel doesn't have any access to it whatsoever. But it does make you wonder what's actually in there now. There is a doorway into there, but it's locked. And as we go down the seafront now, from beneath the Grand Hotel, you'll see the Victorian tramway there. That is the only surviving and running tramway. The previous one that I showed you that's converted into a cafe was built because this one was so busy. So it was giving another way for people to get to the Grand Hotel. The other three at the other end of Scarborough, the North Beach, were closed or demolished as years went on. So this is the last working one in Scarborough. And for a very nominal fee, you save yourself an awful lot of effort going up the still very, very steep hillside. A very steep hillside. The beach at Scarborough is wonderful sand. Perfect for making sandcastles and just having a family time on the beach. It's not a situation of stones and shells everywhere. As you go along the seafront, you'll notice the big wheel. Now that's been there for a few years, not that long in Scarborough. Originally there was an area that was fairly derelict, but if you notice at the side of it, there's a grass area, a garden area, somewhere perfect for just a bit of a chill out, if you like, after spending the day on the beach. Behind that, you may be just able to see an amusement arcade with sort of an Arabian looking top to it. That is Coney Island. Coney Island is one of the oldest ones in Scarborough. It's got quite an unusual history behind it as well. One of the things that stands out in its history is the fact that the top floor was an ice rink. It was then briefly turned into a cinema and then back to an ice rink. That big wheel would sure give some fantastic views over the whole of Scarborough. Unfortunately, I've never had a chance to go on that. Maybe next time. You can see what I mean there about Coney Island having that sort of Arabian look to it. You can see how blue the sky is today. And the beach. The beach is fantastic at Scarborough. Perfect for digging, as if somebody's there doing exactly that now. Obviously on the seafront you've got all your amusements and all the things that you'd normally expect. There's the trinket shops, get your fridge magnets and buckets and spades and whatnot. But there are also quite a few other things like, I won't call it a ghost train, but a haunted house type experience. But over there, the Pink Flamingo, that was Giaconelli's, which was very famous in Scarborough for its ice cream. But that's now gone fairly recently. Not been in the Pink Flamingo, so we'll see what that's like at some point. The other point to be aware of with Scarborough is that this is a proper port. It's midway on the North Sea, so it's got one of the biggest RNLI stations right on the beach there. If you're rescued in the North Sea, there's a good chance that they've come from either Whitby, Scarborough, or Spurn Point even. That's an old pub. It's been there for, well, since I can remember, the Lord Nelson. And I can imagine it being there from when this was just a fishing port. Because Scarborough still is. Yes, you can buy your fresh fish straight away here. Here be pirates. And yes, you can go on a pirate boat from here. Nice little trip round the harbour. If you go across there, it's probably some of the best chip shops in Scarborough. You've even got a little TARDIS as we walk past it. I wonder whether the doctor's stopped for a donut or two around here. And this is always strange to me. You've got your fish and chip shops and your restaurants, but on the harbour side is this Italian restaurant. Now, to me, it gives that feeling that it's in the wrong place. Yes, everybody needs a restaurant and there's plenty on the other side, but this one, it is basically a glorified pizza place, but it's that sort of high-class Italian restaurant feel to it. It just doesn't seem to fit in with Scarborough seafront. My opinion, but there you go. As we go down here, you'll notice just across the road, there's a place that it sells the sort of ornaments that you'd get from the seaside and actually keep, not like what most of the other shops do. And now we're coming more to the harbour side itself. Yes, you've still got, there's one over there that sells buckets and spades and all sorts of, the sort of stuff that you don't really want but you still buy at the seaside. And if you look over there, there's one with a red golden ball outside. And that's actually referring to the fishermen's floats, those sort of balls there. But we're now starting to get more into the harbour part of Scarborough. And here you can actually go out for fishing trips and go around the harbour, but it is a working port as well. So if you fancy your fishing trip, that's about £30. And there's one of the speedboats going for the little harbour trip. Up there you'll notice the castle in the distance on the hill. I'm not going to be going up there today because it's a little bit far for today. There's plenty of open top buses going along the seafront. Now with Scarborough's the main resort, seaside resort in Yorkshire. And it does get an awful lot of people around here, winter or summer. You can buy your ice creams and your donuts, etc. But the point is with Scarborough, it is a proper seaside resort. You can buy your crab sticks, your rock, everything like that. But what I'm going to show you in a minute is the more maritime side of it. This end of Scarborough is, from its history, being a maritime port, and where you went to the Grand Hotel, that was more the Victorian seaside resort building up. This, when you went looking on the Google Maps that I played at the beginning, is a little bit of headland that comes out, and then you go around this corner and you'll end up in the North Bay, the bay that was busy but is sort of now very quiet. That building there was the toll booth to get into Scarborough itself. You used to actually have to pay there to come into Scarborough, but only for about 5 or 6 years, and then they knocked it on the head. And here we come to Scarborough Fair ahead of us, but I'm not going to go there just yet. Yes, Scarborough Fair from the song. That's where it comes from. What we're going to go down now is just have a look around this harbour itself. I think you're going to enjoy this.
You know, the amount of times I've been to Scarborough, I've never realised how many boats are harboured here. And so many of them are those little cabin ones like over there. That one called Quicksilver just over there. There's Valhalla here, and I wonder if these are more fun boats. They must be. Can't see them going fishing in that, but fish I like. I suppose you could go line fishing. Let's go a bit further and see what else there is. See if we can catch any of those speedboats going out. Can even go for a bar and boat. This ship was dedicated to the life and memory of Angela Samples. She was born a regal lady from Dunkirk. This is one of the Dunkirk rail ships, it says. One of the ships that sailed to Dunkirk. Nice to see they're still about. Southern Star? That looks like a proper trawler to me. Cafe and Visitor Centre. And that's where I was a few minutes ago. Oh, now this is going to be a good view. As we get to the end of the pier, there's a statue here, which is somebody jumping, or preparing to jump into the water, near the lighthouse itself. It commemorates the fact that Scarborough has been a resort since the 1600s for people. It's also mentioned on the front a number of people who've lost their lives in the area. Right. Let's watch this go out, eh? Lots of men fishing. And there's what looks like a World War II gun there. Let's go have a look. Here we go. Let's see what it says about it. Looks like World War II or maybe even World War One. 1914. Raised by Scarborough Sub-Aqua Club and local fishermen, October 1892, recovered from the depths of 100 feet, I presume, from the wreck of the SS Hornsund, sunk by torpedo 23rd of September 1917, 2.5 miles southeast of this location. Airlifted into position by helicopter of D Flight 22 Squadron Royal Air Force, 2nd of June 1984. So that is definitely one old gun. Right, let's get back to the main centre, shall we? Have a look at the harbour. See the castle up there behind the harbour. Folks, let's get fish. There you go. Yep. Yeah. Go on there. Be a YouTube star. The beans. Yeah. Yeah. Beans. The beans. Yeah. Yeah. I've only just started doing it, so. As I go through this place, I might have to cut out the background sound for a bit and put something else in because of the fact that, well, let's face it, they tend to have music going. If they don't, I'll try and get away with it, talk through it, but we can book up.
Well, I did have to actually mute the music. Now, the theme park here, which is Scarborough Fair, operates on a basis where you buy a card, you tap it on the rides, and pay for it. So you don't have to actually carry cash there. There aren't that many rides there, to be honest. So why they need to do that, I don't know. But that's how they do it. Now, just at the side of it is a couple of little shops, including a shell shop. Yes, it sells just about every version of shells that you can see possible, which is very, very good to say that Scarborough doesn't have that many shells on the beach. It's a very, very sandy beach. So they're obviously buying quite a lot of shells in to make them here. And now we're coming across to the toll booth, which operated for a few years, and that's how you paid to get into Scarborough.
(1897 to 1908). Now we're out to the sun a bit. Must be a couple of miles of parking just like this, all the way along the front. Yes, you still got to pay for it. When don't you? But if you're looking for somewhere to park, this is ideal. The cliffs. And that is why everybody goes to South Bay. It's rocks to protect it all the way along here. Hope you've enjoyed today as much as I have. Had fun with the family, had fun doing the video, baked in the sun at Scarborough. What more could a person want? Even had some donuts. Can't be bad. YouTube loves comments. Please do subscribe and enjoy this next video about Skegness, Lincolnshire's version of Scarborough. Bye for now.